This is what we have to remember when it comes to the timeline shift. The ascension process is done through healing. It's not done through polarizing and divisive movements. A lot of times, we see movements that have good meanings and they're well-intended, and then they devolve quickly into being inflammatory and really aggressive. And this is what we're going to have to be really mindful of and discerning, because the ascension process is going to be done through healing. And healing is a uniting process. It is not a divisive and polarizing process. Now, when a collective finds themselves in a group or a movement that's headed towards polarization, but it meant well, and the people who were involved with that group and movement actually had a deep intention for healing and for higher timelines for humanity, the universe enters with divine intervention and gives us a grace period. This grace period is for us to be sectioned off before we go into a degenerative timeline, because the universe reads our intention. And it is in this grace period that time for increased awareness and increased consciousness is given to us, so that we can reorient ourselves and become aware of what was taking place within us. So if what we see was taking place within us was we had good intentions, but we became a lot more polarizing, and we became a lot more fear-based, even in our intention of being love-based. This grace period is what gives us time to heal and to align our thoughts, feelings, and actions with that original intention. And that original intention being one of healing and to progress into positive, more empowering timelines. When we start healing and when we start becoming more conscious, sometimes our intention can get ahead of ourselves. When this happens, we can accidentally start going through a spiritual bypassing process. This is when we want to heal and we want to be a more mature and evolved version of ourselves, but it's a little too soon, and we accidentally end up denying parts of ourselves and our own shadow. When we do this, what we're doing is avoiding anything that's uncomfortable within us, and we're even extending that to beyond us. And we start avoiding uncomfortable truths that even lead further into more stunted growth. Now, this whole timeline split is not going to be visible to the naked eye. How it manifests is always going to be in a continuous progression in either one direction of evolution or the other direction of de-evolution. But we're not going to be able to actually isolate that one specific part of reality where we see the glitch that produces the timeline split. And many of us want to see, and we're so excited to see it, and we even regard it as there being a large event that then creates the large glitch that we need to split the timelines. But actuality, it's going to be incremental shifts that take place before our very eyes, because timelines split all of the time. So it's always going to be a natural chaos and order, a natural contraction and expansion that either moves us into a more positive direction or a more negative direction. So these incremental shifts that we're going to be seeing inside our larger external reality are going to be through phasing out and making older systems that represent separation consciousness obsolete through this phasing out. For instance, if there is an institution that represents separation consciousness, control, and fear, that institution we're going to see phased out. It may not just crumble before our very eyes. Instead, what we'll see is another institution gets created from unity consciousness.